In this video I will show you how to create some electric arcs in Illugen. Well, at least one way of doing that. The idea here is to use a distance node. So the distance node is basically a way of creating a distance field, let's say from a mask. And for that we will start with fractal noise. Here, fractal noise that I will threshold. And the threshold, I want something very sharp, so I will reduce the smoothness to 0. And so with the threshold you can define where you want to cut, basically what is white and what is black. When you have that, you can send that to the input of the distance. And for the distance, we will not take the outer distance, so we will not take a positive value for the distance, but we will take a negative value, so something like this. And I will also flip the result, so the profile here, I will just flip it. So you will have something like this. So as you can see, it's making some kind of islands, but what is interesting is the crest you can see here. So it can be cool if we can isolate that. So to isolate that, it's pretty easy. You can basically set a curvature node. So the curvature node will highlight that. So curvature, and I will plug it here. So with the curvature, you have in white what is basically crest, and you have in black what is creases. We don't need the creases, and we don't need all that area that is grayish here. We just want the brightest part. So for that, we will just change also the remap curve here and remove everything that is under 50% like this. That way we keep only the crest, and you can see that it's looking like electric arcs. But we need to animate that, because when it's fixed like that, it's not really looking that nice. One way of animating fractal noise is using 3D noise. By default, you're using a 2D noise. But if you use 3D noise, you can animate on a third axis, and that animation will ensure that you will have something very, very smooth. And so the 3D noise, I activate it, and you see you have Z position and the number of layers. One thing to know is that you can make looping animation with the 3D noise. In the fractal node, whenever you are in position 0 or in position 100, you are basically reaching the same point, or using the same random values. And the Z layers here is the number of intermediate random state, and it's continuously interpolated between those. So if you want to animate it, what you can do is animate basically the Z position, and for that you have to expand here, and the Z position you click twice, and that will expose that pin, Z position. And in that Z position pin we will add a modulator, and we can use a cycle one. So the cycle one will basically go from 0 to 100%. And if I press spacebar to animate it, you have some animated kind of electric arcs. If it's too fast, you have different way of dealing with that. You can either reduce the speed, the frequency here, so it's 1 Hertz, so it's basically doing a full cycle in 1 second. You can do like 0.2, which will make it much slower. What you can also do, let's put it to 0.5. What you can also do is, in the fractal node, reduce the number of Z layers, like 4 layers. So you will have less random state, but it will still be continuous. Okay, so start to look like something. Now, if you want to make it look more like electric arc, you can just transform that grayscale mask into color. So we can use the color ramp, and the color ramp you can check in the custom. Once you have like fire and ice, we can use something like I don't know, ice 5, for instance, something like this. So it's a bit more electric. You can change, of course, the color to have something that will be more well, bluish or whatever you want. You can just adjust that to fit your needs. Okay, what else can we do here? The thing is that, well, you can make that thing tile, which can be interesting if you want to make like, I don't know, force field or shield or something like that. So if you set it to tiling here, and you can check that it's tiling properly, and so you can use that, let's say, on a big wall or something. But let's say you want to do something more like explosion of electricity or something like that. I will remove the tiling. Yeah, here, no tiling. Remove that. Yeah, and I will make it look more like a bowl of electricity. So for that, I will use a background input in the fractal, and I will use shape here. So the shape, I will simply use that basic shape we have here, the cone one, and put it in the background. That way you have just, it's masking, basically it's multiplying what we had before with that shape. That's the default behavior. You can change, of course, the way it's combined with the blending mode here, but we will keep the multiply. It's pretty good. The thing is that it's very small now because the threshold we had was pretty high, 50%. But if we reduce that like this, we have something more interesting. Let's say 4 or yeah, something like that. So you have like a potato thing moving, but it's a bit less interesting. The thing is that the distance I had was not big enough, or not. It was not far enough from the edge. I got just minus 18% here. So if you increase that, you will have like longer strings of electricity. You can see you have some weird looking thing. It's due to the way that the distance is computed. But it's not a big deal because we will have something more chaotic than that. So what can we do to have something more chaotic? Well, we can change the parameters in the fractal, like having, well, change the scale or change also the roughness. If I, let's say, increase the roughness, I will bring basically higher frequency, but you can also change the scale, the global scale here. So the scale will define what you will, the kind of frequency you will have once the threshold is applied. So let's say if I give something like this and a bit more roughness, and for the threshold I will move it like 15, probably something like that. Yeah. Okay, so we got something. It start to be more interesting. So you have like that well, sphere of electricity, but now if you want to animate that to have like an impulse and a kind of shockwave of electricity, well, you can play on with different things like the shape and stuff. So for instance, one thing that is interesting is in the shape you can animate the inner filling, which will basically fill the whole shape with something white in this case. So it's in fact it's not just white. It can be whatever the value here is in the intensity remap. So what you can do for that animation is instead of keeping that curve here, you can use another one. And you can use, you have lots of presets, you have like a up-down that you can use here. That is making something like this, like a donut type of thing. And with the inner filling, you can make something that will look more like a shockwave, you see. The thing is that it's starting with already something looking like a donut, which is not something that we want. So what we can do is say, okay, the inner filling will not start at 0%, but we will go beyond that, and we will have an inner filling of minus 100%. So what it will do, it will start basically filling very inside, let's say, the shape. And what it will do, it's basically what you have here. It's starting here. You have that part is not visible. It's in the minus 100%. And when you animate it, you have the donut appearing and disappearing like this. So you can do that kind of animation very easily. So the curve is something very, very powerful here. So how that can help us? Well, we can animate that. So the inner filling, for instance, we can add keys to have the animation. So for that, we'll just click once here. It will appear in the timeline and say, okay, I will start with minus 100%, and I will go to frame like 60, and I will go to 100%. So what it will do is animate that kind of explosion shockwave, and you can make it last longer if you want. I will take like 120, like this. So it's not yet exactly what I want, because well, here it's very faint, and you can probably improve that. What we can do is still play with the threshold to have something that is probably a bit like, well, sharper. You see, you have some small details that start to be quite interesting here, and have something that is more looking like this. Yeah. So fine-tuning the threshold is interesting here. And you can always adjust also your curve. For instance, if you find that the initial potato, let's say, is too small, what you can do is increase the area where you have the shape at the maximum value. So you can add, let's say, another point here and have something like this. So your potato will be bigger. See? So it's doing some kind of weird flickering here. It's probably just due to the noise we have. Well, we can fine-tune yeah, the roughness if you want. And if it's still doing some weird stuff, you can always try it with different seed. With the different seed, you will have different result. Like, okay, if I would take something different, you see, you have different behavior here. It's just, well, you can play until you find something that is interesting for you. And yeah, for the fractal, you can also try to change the ramp you use for the fractal. You can always use something that is more extreme, let's say, with like a ramp up smooth, like this. So you will have more black area. So more black area will make your shape here with more holes, and so you will have more smaller details like you have here. So it starts to look more like something more interesting. And if you look at the threshold, you see you have the potato that goes into something more like a donut. It's still very regular, let's say, over here. Well, it's mainly because we have increased the size here. We can also do something like this, like asymmetrical donut. Yeah, and we will have something like this, and so the curvature will be like this. Yeah, start to be more interesting. For the curvature, you can also increase the intensity amplification. So if you find that your colors are too bland, you can always increase that, or you can add a level node to adjust your colors, or just change here in the main gradient. You have lots of options here. So we have something that start to look quite interesting. So if we want to have like fade in and fade out effect, that is more interesting, what we can do is play with the shape and play with the intensity. So with the intensity, if I want to animate it, I need to expand it here, and the intensity is shown here. If I click here, I can expose that to an input, and so I can basically modulate the intensity with another shape. That's another way of doing it. But here I will just keep it simple, and we'll have just that intensity here. I click once, so it's appearing in the timeline. And I can say, okay, I will start with an intensity of 0. Then I will quickly go to 100, like that. So you have some transition at the beginning. It's more interesting already. And for the end, probably need something to make it disappear. Something more interesting than just that round shape. So by the end, I will also do something that goes from 100 to 0. And so I will have something that will start slowly, make that roundish explosion and start to disappear. Yeah, probably need to move a bit the... Yeah, you have to adjust the key position. Anyway, when you have the intensity here, when it will reach 0, you will have nothing to see. So here I'm just offsetting, let's say, the end of my original animation. So start with electricity, going kind of round and disappear. So the fact that I miss all that part here, it's just because my noise is very dark here. So really, depending on what you want, you can always change the scale. No, not that scale. Sorry, the scale of the fractal here. The scale of the fractal here. The beginning here. So you can change if you want to have more smaller electric arcs. You can reduce that scale. So what it will do, more something like this. Or if you want to have more bigger ones, you can just increase the scale. Or go very large if you want, but it can be, you will have less details, so it's less interesting. And you can also play with the roughness here, that will also add more details while keeping more frequency variation, let's say. So it's a bit too much, 80, probably 60. So yeah, something like this, it's thought to be more interesting. It's just a bit boring over here. Maybe I can change a bit my curve again to have something more like this, and probably change a bit the scale. Yeah, the scale was a bit big. Okay. So yeah, you have something that is looking quite good, and of course you can just play with the curve if you want to change the dynamic of the animation. So for instance, what I have in my inner feeling is probably a bit too smooth, let's say. If I want something that looks more explosive, I can probably change that. So I go to the curve here, show just the inner feeling. So you see it's starting slow, then you have lots of change, and then it's ending slow. Oh, what you can do is change that to have something that is more like this, which will animate quite quickly. Of course, as we have offset everything earlier, it's the fade is happening basically before the do not appear. So we need to go back to here and more do something like this. Yeah. Yeah, so no, it's a bit more explosive. And if you want really something well, faster, like really like an impact or something, I don't know, phaser impact or something, you can just stack basically all your keys like this to have something that will be very, very quick. It's still a bit long. So it's better. Probably I can also change the curve at the beginning here to have something more interesting. Yeah, can do maybe something like this and have, yeah, for an impact it's probably better. And I can move it a bit further or move those a bit before. Yeah, so you have something more interesting. And if you want to have more motion in your noise, you can always in the fractal add more layers in your 3D noise. Here I have only 4 of them. I can have like 2 of them, it will be like a very, very smooth. Or if I add lots of them, you see it's more chaotic. It's really up to you to find the best balance for the effect you want to do. So yeah, once you have that, you can just store that in a sprite sheet, for instance. So you can do a sheet encode like this and have something. So here it's of course underused, so probably need to go, I don't know, 6 by 6. Yeah, it's 6 by 6 seems to be a good, yeah, it will do the job. So now you can just export that here, export color, and save that and use that as a sprite sheet for any particle system you have in Unity, Unreal, or whatever engine you're using. I hope that it helps you to have more well, insight of how to use Illugen and to well, try different things. So the curvature noise was not really meant for that at the beginning, and yeah, it's probably one of unique usage of it. So just experiment and enjoy Illugen.